Crazy Dave's Kitchen. Today we're going to be making an easy homemade French bread using a KitchenAid stand mixer and 3 simple ingredients. Well, 4 simple ingredients: flour, yeast, salt, and of course warm water. So I have right here 5 cups of bread flour, which we're going to add into the bowl like so. I have 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, and I have 2 packets of instant dry yeast or dry activated yeast, 2 packets right in there. We're going to put on the paddle attachment onto the stand mixer. We're going to lower it in, lock it in place, and just on number 1 we're going to mix everything together, get it nice and incorporated. While that's mixing, I'm going to prepare my warm water. I do have a thermometer somewhere, but I do also know that my tap water, when it's hot, is about 115 to 120 degrees, and that's kind of where you want to be with your warm water. So I'm just going to, while that's mixing, I'm just going to get my 2 cups of warm water. And I just wait until you can't keep your hands under there anymore. You can see that's about 2 cups right there. So now, while it's mixing and stirring, I'm going to just add the warm water right in here, and it's going to start to form a sticky dough. And right when it gets to about that point, we're going to switch over to the dough hook, which is going to make our lives a lot easier. So just gently push away the dough from the paddle attachment, and we're just going to be swapping this out for the dough hook. And the dough hook is really going to do a majority of our work for us. And yeah, it's a little sticky, which is what you want. So we're just going to swap this out. Throw the dough hook in there, lower it in, lock it in place, and again we'll go with number 1 for a while. You want to use the dough hook for about 6 to 8 minutes really. You want to get this really well defined, well incorporated. All the dough should pull away from the bowl and leave a nice clean bowl. And you can see mixing, incorporating. It starts getting a little slow. We'll speed it up. You see it's kind of rising on the top. We can stop it and push that down a little bit. Since it's starting to slow down a little bit, I'm just going to step it up a notch. I'm going to just push this down, let it keep going. It's still a little on the sticky side, so we're going to let it keep kneading the dough. Alright, so now it's formed a nice ball, and it's pulled away from the sides of the bowl. If you can take a look, I'm sure you'll see that it's clean. Now, before we take this out, I'm getting too far ahead of myself. I have a clean glass bowl right here, and I'm going to take some olive oil right there. There it is. See? The camera's backwards from where, so it's hard to see. Just going to put a little olive oil in the bowl. Spread it around with your fingers. So the dough's going to sit in this bowl. You want to get the olive oil all along the sides of the bowl, because as the dough rises, you don't want it sticking to the bowl. So we're going to just, with your fingers, just go ahead and do that. We're also going to take our dough, and we're just going to slightly just put it knead it just into a ball. So you can see that it's smooth. Maybe you can't see. Here, you can see that it's smooth. Cracking myself up. And I'm just going to seal the back end here, so that it's nice and smooth, a nice firm dough. And then we're going to put it into the bowl. I'm going to go face down and coat the dough with the oil, and also on the bottom, like so. And then we're just going to cover it with a towel. Regular kitchen towel. I have my Halloween cat towel, one of my favorites. We're going to cover this, and we're going to let this sit for about an hour. And then we'll be able to form our dough into our French bread. And it's a really easy, quick recipe. The machine does all the work. And like I say, 4 ingredients. Well, 5 if you add the olive oil, but really, who's counting? And after this, we'll get into baking our easy homemade French bread. Okay, so it's been an hour now, and our our dough has risen. And as you can see, we're going to punch it down a little bit and take it out of the bowl. We're also going to cut it in half, approximate size for our loaves, because we are making 2 loaves. So we're going to cut it approximately in half, whatever you think half looks like. It really doesn't matter. Close enough. And then we're just going to form these into 2 loaves. I'm actually going to just punch this down a little bit, make sure there's a seam at the bottom, and kind of roll this out. Into a decent loaf size. We're actually going to let this rise a second time on a cookie sheet lined with a baking mat. So we're just going to want to get it into shape. We want to put the seam at the bottom. No unsightly seams. Just like so. This looks pretty decent. That's a pretty decent one right there. We're going to do the same thing with the other half. I'm just going to push out some of the air. We don't want all the air to be released, because that's going to give us our nice bubbles inside the bread. We're just going to want to roll this out. You're kind of rolling and stretching with your hands. Again, we want the seams at the bottom. It's a little torn. It's okay. It's all going to taste great. No matter how it looks, it's going to taste great. It looks pretty decent. Again, if it's a little flawed, it's okay. It's just bread. You're just going to eat it. So you don't have to tell anybody. Once you see how this turns out, you're going to love it. You're going to want to make it every time. Every time you're having dinner or friends over for dinner, you can tell them you made your own French bread. And it's just quick and easy. So here we go. I have my lined baking sheet with my silicone mat. I'm just going to set the bread on here. We're going to cover it with a towel, and we're going to let it rest for another 30 minutes. So the dough rose for an hour, and now we're going to let it rise again for 30 minutes, and just lightly cover it with a towel. I have this old Halloween cat towel. Just any cloth towel, kitchen towel. And I'm just going to leave this here for 30 minutes, and then we're going to check back and do the final preparation before throwing it into the oven. Okay, so it's been 30 minutes, and you can see the loaves have pretty much doubled in size from where they were. There's a little bit of an inconsistency, but these are going to be rustic loaves. So to finish this off, I'm going to slice, kind of like vent slices. It helps steam release from the bread when it's baking, and it'll make a nice design. Use a sharp knife and slice little, you know, not too deep, like maybe a 1/4 inch or less, something like that, around that area. And just lightly pressing on. We don't want to deflate because all those air bubbles are really going to make the bread nice and light. So we're going to go ahead, slice some slices there. And then I'm also going to take a little bit of egg white. I'm just going to brush some egg white on the top of the loaves. Another little trick of this particular bread is don't preheat the oven. So we're going to bake this at 375 degrees, but we're going to start it out in a cold oven, which will really make a difference when this all comes together. So we're just going to go ahead and brush these. Anyway, you kind of get the point. So now, right after I brush these, we're going to put it in a middle rack in the oven, 375, for about 35 to 45 minutes. Okay, so here we are, right out of the oven after 45 minutes. You see each loaf is beautiful, golden brown, nice and raised, with the fancy slits in there that everybody loves to see. So all we did, we took 5 cups of bread flour, 2 packets of dry activated yeast, 2 cups of warm water, 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, and some egg whites, and a little bit of olive oil in the bowl. Let it rise. So it really took an hour for the first rise, 30 minutes for the second rise. Then we sliced it, and another 45 minutes in the oven, and we have beautiful, nice, beautiful bread. And you can do, like if you wanted to make a giant hoagie sandwich with these, you can do that. If you wanted to slice it in half and make garlic bread with these, you can do that. Even if you wanted to slice them in half and make pizza, pizza bread. Throw on some pizza sauce, some pepperoni, some cheese, bake it again for whatever, 15 minutes in the oven, and it's very versatile. Or just for dinner rolls, dinner bread. I like to have this with a little bit of salad, a couple of pieces, really nice. Or bring them to your friend's house for dinner. as a gift. When they say bring something, you can bring bread that you made fresh, and the whole apartment just right now just smells like bread. It's a great feeling. So give this recipe a shot, and I think you'll really enjoy it.